Well, thanks everyone for jumping on. I appreciate it, and thank you. First of all, let me thank AdCap for hosting the event today. AdCap always does a great job of bringing together great technologies and things that are top of mind for all of you out there. And again, you guys have done a great job with this, so we appreciate everything you've put in. Amanda Druin with the Cisco Meraki team is going to be walking us through pretty much a live demonstration today of Meraki. And I think if this is the first time that you all have been exposed to it, you're going to like what you see. I know for a fact that a lot of my customers who are making the transition to cloud-based wireless offers, it's quite a different architecture for them, a different management concept, and it really puts them at ease. It's a great fit for companies that have multiple offices, where you've got disparate wireless systems out there that you've just had over the years, whether other people were making wireless decisions or through acquisitions or whatever it may be, or if they're all autonomous wireless APs out there and it's just cumbersome to manage all of them. What you'll see today is that through a cloud-based controller system via Meraki and Cisco, life is so much simpler just logging into a management portal and having the visibility and control that you'll have. And instead, I don't think Amanda's going to show too many PowerPoints. I think we can see her slide deck right now, but I think she's going to jump in pretty quickly into actually what your day-to-day life would be like as managing or viewing what your wireless situation would be within your own company. So with that, Amanda, I might hand it over to you now, and we will kind of jump into it. But I encourage everyone to stick on the call, because I think we'll go into some details about, I think you guys are going to be raffling off some Meraki gear, whether it's at the end of the call or we'll give instructions at the end of how to win the raffle. So everyone, please stay on and keep it interactive through the chat window, and we'll answer your questions as they come up. So with that, Amanda, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you everyone for being on here. I'm really excited to have everyone here, viewing the Cisco Meraki solution. Patrick is correct. I'm not going to use many PowerPoints. I promise I won't bore you to death with those. We are going to dive in really quickly here into the actual dashboard itself. Just like Patrick said, your day-to-day operation, what it would look like, how it would feel, how it would look to you. And I just wanted to kind of start, for those of you that are just getting introduced to the Cisco Meraki side, or what we've been dubbed here within Cisco as the Cloud Managed Networking Group, is that we're not new per se to technology as a whole, right? So Meraki's been around for a while. We've been around for a number of years now. We were acquired by Cisco a year ago in December. And everyone knows Cisco systems, right? We all respect their reputation and their ability to deliver the most up-to-date technologies, and that's where Meraki came into play. There was a number of customers that were looking to make switches to the cloud. We're trying to find a way to manage their multiple locations with a very lean IT staff. And what we found, and what Cisco found, was that that was going to be a move towards a cloud offering. So we work hand in hand. As you can see, Patrick and I have a very clear relationship where he's involved with me and I'm involved with him in our day-to-day operations and our customer base. And so I really want you to view this as the ability of, we are Cisco, but we're a cloud offering. So when you look at a Cisco offering or a product catalog, let's say, you have two choices. Your traditional Cisco that you're very much used to, very reliable, and then you have the Meraki solution, which is a little bit more newer technologies in terms of the management of it. Still hardware-based, right? You're still going to get that feature set of it. It's just a matter of how you want to go about managing it. So here we have, we're the complete cloud-managed networking solution. We offer wireless access points. We offer switching, security appliances, as well as a mobile device management platform as well. Like I said, there's still a hardware component of it. It's just going to be a software or a cloud service in terms of how you manage that. We are among the fastest growing portfolios within Cisco. and we have many tens of millions of devices connected and thousands upon thousands of customers utilizing us, and you can see some of those at the bottom there, including Stanford University and MIT, organizations such as that. So you can see here, this is actually what you're looking at is the dashboard, and that's what we'll dive into in just a second here, but all the product lines at the bottom. And some people have this sort of notion of cloud, right? We get probably the most popular rejection or rebuttal I have is, I don't know about the cloud. I don't know if it's safe. I don't know if it's secure. So one thing that we've built into our management and our hardware itself, too, is the ability that it's out of band, meaning that all of the data that's going back and forth throughout the cloud is only the management data. All the rest of the data is going to go through your WAN like it normally would, and it's very reliable, very secure. We're fully HIPAA compliant, PCI compliant, a whole number of other acronyms that aren't listed there. We've done plenty of third-party security audits, and I assure you that you are going to continue to see the cloud grow as it is becoming and is a very secure solution. I'm going to run through these very quickly so we can get to the nitty-gritty and the good stuff. From a wireless access point standpoint, we have 5 different models, indoor and outdoor. We have a lifetime warranty on these access points, and built into it is things like guest access and WIPs or location analytics, presence analytics, and we'll walk through some of those features as well. On our security appliances, we have 6 different models. We are very well known for our auto VPN feature, which we'll chat about in depth as well. Things like WAN optimization and content filtering, intrusion detection are all built into these appliances. With our access switches, we have access switches and layer 3 switches in 8, 24, 48 port configurations, all available in non-PoE or PoE. They're going to give you that full layer 7 app visibility that I'll show you. We can do things all remote on these, so you're not going to have to write any CLI associated with it. It's all within the dashboard itself. And lastly, our Systems Manager mobile device management. This is a centralized app deployment and management feature. It allows you to control iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows devices, and it's 100% free. And it integrates perfectly into our wireless and switches and security, and I'll show you that here. We do offer free trials, so after the presentation today, if you're very excited about Meraki and want to learn more, let's get in touch and maybe set you up with a trial as well. Awesome. Let's jump over to the dashboard, the good stuff. So I'm going to do an overview of the Meraki dashboard today. It's a very intuitive, very easy to use interface for all of the Meraki cloud managed products. We're going to look at each of the product lines, so the wireless access points, the switches, the security appliances, as well as the mobile device management. So we'll go through this fairly quickly, so it's only going to be about 20 minutes or so. Catch what you can. We're happy to schedule a follow-up and go through these in more depth. So if you have a particular interest in the switch and you want to learn more, definitely let us know and we'll get in touch with you. So from this view here is the whole entire organization, and what I was speaking to is clicking into these actually brings in to a localized view, right? So I'm zooming into actually our Cisco Meraki headquarters here in San Francisco. And I can move over to a satellite view so I can see, where these devices are within the building. And I can also move over so that I can see a floor plan view as well. So I can see where these access points are, in particular, on my floor plan itself. Now the numbers you see are the amount of connected clients on each of these access points. So you saw how I went from that big map down to now I'm looking at a floor plan. And if I scroll over any of these different access points, I can actually dive into the access points themselves. So with just a few clicks, I went from that global view to the individual device view. So now I'm viewing an actual access point on the network. So here I can see the IP address. I can even see, things like which switch and which port it's connected to. And scrolling down, I can also see the current clients connected to this. I can see how long they've been associated for. I can see the usage. And then I also have some really awesome live tools over here on the left. So all of these can be done remote on any sort of device. So If you decide to take a vacation, you're on a beach in Jamaica, and something happens, you can use these live tools to be able to troubleshoot remotely. Now I can also jump back here and click on access points, and that's going to bring me to a full list of all of the access points on my network. I could search any of these, so if I wanted to bring up just all of the access points on the 4th floor, I know we have them tabbed this way, so I could cut that down from 27 to 17 to make the viewing a little bit easier for me. I can also go a step further and actually see all of the clients that are associated with my network. We record a whole wealth of information here at the client and application layer. I can also search for particular clients here. So for example, if I wanted to find my particular client, I could just type in my name and dive into my client this way. Now what this is going to do is it's going to pull up same sort of view that we saw with access points, right? So I'm going to get information about my client. I'm going to see where I am on the floor plan. So the little blue dot, you can see I'm hiding over here. I can see my usage. I can see if I have any policies associated to my device. So there's certain use cases in which maybe an employees and executives or students and teachers, right, where you want to make sure that there's different policies associated to the devices. So maybe bandwidth restrictions or certain applications can be viewed or not viewed. We could set up different policies here. Now I have a normal, but if I wanted to, I could associate myself to a group policy and add myself to the executive. That'd be nice. Or I could add myself to any of these, and I can obviously add my own policies in there and guide those through as well. I'm not going to dive into how to set those up too much today, but if we have any questions, definitely let us know either after the presentation or once we take questions. I can also see all the applications that have been running on my device. So if I drop down this menu, I can pie over and see the different ones, and I can drop this down and get even more. I can see the top 15 or all the applications. Now, there's some on here that are blurred out. I always joke that's not because I've been naughty, it's just because I'm not an admin, so I can't see everything that's going on here on this particular client or on my client. But I can see the applications that have been running and what usage I have here. Now, that same view that we're seeing here for this particular client, for my computer, I'm seeing the applications, but if I wanted to, I could go back to that view we were at where it showed all of the clients on my network, and you notice that that same pie chart is here. So if I drop this down, now I'm viewing applications for my entire organization and the usage there. So these first 1 to 10 or so are pretty normal, right? And then we start to see things like YouTube or Netflix that maybe aren't business critical, right? So I could click into any of these applications, and this is going to bring up all of the clients that are contributing to this application. And it happens to be sorted by usage. If you wanted to go lower to higher, you could do that as well. And so maybe what I've figured out is if I click into this particular application and I see that it's getting used a lot, perhaps what I want to do is kind of tone that down a little bit. So all I need to do is go over to wireless and go into firewall and traffic shaping rules.
Yeah, this is going to come into play big time in a few weeks with March Madness coming up. That's when all of our networks start to go down because everyone's got some browser open watching the games during the day. So this is a nice tool to have handy.
Yeah, that's really funny you say that, Patrick, because usually when I go on this page, usually they have us set up to have March Madness in there 24/7, 365, so that's so true. So because the access points support the layer 3 firewalling, it's very easy to do. And we're doing this on the wireless access point itself. This isn't on our security appliance. This is on the wireless. So all I need to do is go into add a layer 7 firewall rule. I'm going to drop down here and I'm going to select video and music because we're sticking with that YouTube, right, that we saw that was the number 11 on the list. And we have a whole bunch of options in here in terms of which applications are being utilized. So I could select all video and music if I wanted to block those completely, or I could particularly drill down and pick one of these individually. So I'll stick with YouTube. So now with 2 clicks of a button, what I've done is I've blocked YouTube completely from this SSID. Now, you could do this on an SSID basis, you could do this on a user group basis, or you could do this on an individual user basis as well. So that's pretty aggressive, right? Blocking it all together, and you're probably, if you're managing a network, you're probably going to get a whole bunch of grief for blocking things. So maybe what we'll do instead is I'll get rid of this layer 7 firewall rule, and maybe what I'll do is I will shape the traffic instead. So I'm going to create a new rule here, and what I'll do is I can add whichever expression I want here. So maybe we do, there's your sports, Patrick. So if I wanted to, I could block any of these sports, but let's stick with video and music just for ease of example here. Again, I could choose all video and music if I wanted to, or I could scroll down and I could pick YouTube again. Now I can just scroll this over a little bit and I can slow that down to 500 kilobits per second for YouTube. So now with just a couple clicks there, I slowed it right on down so that it's not eating up a whole bunch of bandwidth on my network that I really want to be utilized for other applications. I can do this same sort of thing by setting priority. So if you have certain things that require priority, maybe voice over IP is a big one, right? Let's do all voice over IP. And what I'm going to do is actually have it ignore any limits. And I'm going to give it the highest tag. Think about it as like lanes on the highway, right? So I'm basically setting this up so that YouTube is in the slow lane, and we have voice over voice over IP in the fast lane. So I set priority to that with just a few clicks of button for this particular SSID, that is. Now, if I wanted to set this up on any of the other SSIDs, I simply drop this down, and I can jump from SSID to SSID to set this up. You'll notice that there's 15 different SSIDs here. Each of our access points allow you to have up to 15 different SSIDs. Most cases, you know, if you're a school or a business, you're utilizing 2, 3, maybe 4, but they're there if you need them. So one of the best things about the Meraki dashboard is that it can be used to manage networks end-to-end. So you can manage your wireless, your wired, your WAN, and devices all through the same interface and login. So with that being said, let's jump over and take a peek at the switch. Again, we're going to be looking at the switches in the office here in San Francisco. So here I have a list of all of the switches in this office. So we can see that we have 45 different switches. And maybe I want to sort through this information a little bit. I could move around any of this. It's all customizable to whatever view makes the most sense to you. By clicking on this button, I could also take away or add any type of information that would make sense. If I don't really care about the serial number, but I want to add the usage on there, I could do that there. And this rings true for all of our products. So under the access points page, we could do the same sort of customization. Now, if I want to search these, I can simply type in things like maybe fifth, so I can see all the switches just on the 5th floor. So we've narrowed that down to 21 instead of 45. And then maybe I want to find the switches that have all of our wireless associated to it. I can click into any of these, and I'm going to get more information about the switch itself. So I can see, things like the IP, I can see the spanning tree, I can see PoE consumption, obviously connectivity, making sure everything's nice and healthy. I can see an entire port list here as well. So I can see all of the different ports that are being utilized, what the PoE consumption is. And I can click into any of these as well and see the individual port view. So you can see how this is kind of showing us the progression of where we've been. So we've been the total list of switches, then we dove into a switch, and now we're in an individual port on that switch. So I'm seeing here, again, the PoE consumption information about the port. I can see which clients are on it. I could even run a remote packet capture. So I could actually stream this to my browser or to Wireshark. And this is obviously a great tool to be able to, remotely troubleshoot when you're not able to be on site. So anyone who's done, some sort of packet capture, to be able to do this from your browser is a pretty big deal. You also have the ability to cycle an individual port if you need to reboot. One really nice thing is that I can see what's connected to this individual port. So we can see here that we have a Meraki access point actually connected. And I've mentioned a few times how, everything's going to be in this one single pane view within the dashboard. We also make it really easy to jump from product to product, right? And I can even get more granular in that. So I could actually click into this access point, and it's going to bring me to that particular access point, so a view that we've seen previously, right? And again, so you see here which switch and which port I'm connected to. I can even jump back to that port again very seamlessly so I can see which it's actually connected to. Great. So I mentioned that this was sorry, go ahead.
Just real quick. I mean, I have a handful of customers using this today, and this is what I was referencing, just the simplicity of the management console and the visibility you have into your network. Just take, your daily lives from, if you guys have a help desk and, open tickets are coming in and the steps that you have to go through today compared to being able to log into a portal like this and being able to troubleshoot on the fly from wherever you are. If you don't have the bandwidth or the resources for all of your offices or your campuses, this is just the ideal solution to be able to troubleshoot and provide support back to the users in a quick fashion. So this is just, it's a breath of fresh air for most of us to see something like this, because we all live through the pain of the, how we've handled support issues internally at our organizations over the years, and this is by far goes above and beyond probably anything that we've had at our fingertips before. So I love seeing this demo, because and remember, this is a live demo. This is not just a demo portal that we set up. This is live data that we're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. And the idea being that, most of us can't be at two places at once, right? So many of the customers we work with have multiple locations that you just can't physically be at both. And so this is making it very easy for you to be able to troubleshoot from one location if another's having an issue. Awesome. So I mentioned here that this was obviously PoE, so we can see what the PoE consumption is. Let's say, for example, we want to be green and figure out a way to maybe reduce our power consumption. So I could actually jump over to port schedules here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a schedule for this port so that maybe I'm a school or a university and I only need this particular wireless to be available 8 to 5 on weekdays, or weekends only, or whatever it may be. You can obviously scroll this over and set it up whatever makes the most sense for your particular environment. And you can apply this to as many ports as you want or as few ports as you want. So if you want to apply this just to the wireless in a particular building, you could do so, and try and cut back on some of your power consumption when no one's there to be utilizing it. Great. So let's jump over and take a peek at the security appliance. Again, this is in our office in San Francisco. Again, we're going to get that same sort of feel, same view, right? Looks the same as our switch page looked. It looks the same as our access page looked. So we call it Godzilla because it's running everything in all of our offices. And so we have that same view, like I said. We have live tools set up here. And we are utilizing the site-to-site VPN that I mentioned briefly prior to diving into the dashboard here. So let's jump over and see how that gets configured. So normally when you open up this page, it would actually say disabled, right? So let's pretend like we're getting it set up. All I need to do is decide if I want it to be split tunnel or full tunnel, so if I want all traffic to go over the VPN or just the site-to-site. Let's do split tunnel. And what's going to happen, you just choose that connection, and then what's going to happen is going to bring up all the different subnets. And you're just going to go down and you're going to choose which ones you want to add to that VPN connectivity. And then this is going to make that mesh between all of your different sites. So with just a couple clicks there, we've now got the site-to-site VPN set up. And just because how the cloud communicates with the devices, it's automatically set up and it's going to fix itself if anything goes wrong. So if an IP address changes or the DNS changes, anything on that end, Our MX appliances will automatically communicate back and make those updates so that you won't have to be dealing with any of that downtime. At the bottom of the page here, let me scroll down. If you want to utilize, you may have saw previously the WAN optimization. It's just a click of a button, so if you can disable or enable it, great. Now we have WAN optimization set up, and I could scroll back up to the menu here on the left, and I could even dive into this page here, and this is going to go even more in depth about the WAN optimization and see, you know, what we've been saving in terms of bandwidth. Now, like any good security appliance, we also have all sorts of things built in, obviously, here. So you have your WAN optimization, like we just chatted about, your VPNs, standard firewall types of protocols, and then things like traffic shaping, security filtering, and then content filtering. Let's jump into content filtering. So like a normal content filtering, you know, we use BrightCloud for our database here, so you can add anything you'd like. You know, any type, that would be gross. Gross is one. We set up things here. We also integrate with like web search filtering and YouTube for schools. So those very smart children that we've been raising these days can't get around the perimeters that we're setting on this device. So very easily, all I need to do is enable it. I put in my YouTube EDU ID, and that's going to help me make sure that the students can't search for crazy things on YouTube. So finally, let's go take a peek at the mobile device management. So I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to go into our corporate system manager account. And the first view I'm going to see here is the client list. So this is basically all the clients that are being managed under this Meraki corporate network. And this is how we're controlling all of our Apple devices, our Android devices, and a few desktops as well. Similar client view that we saw, right, with the access points as well. And I can search any of this. So if I want to find all of the iPads on my network, I could just search there. And I can dive into any of these as well. So let's go down and pick on marketing for a minute here. So if I dive in, I can see where the iPad is geographically. I can get information about the iPad itself. I can even see, you know, what the battery is on the iPad. I can see what storage is available or has been used. And then I have the tools down here that are pretty standard with a mobile device management software. The ability to erase the device should it be lost or stolen. Selective wipe if maybe it's an employee's own iPad and they are no longer with the company. We just want to take off the information that, you know, is pertinent to the company itself. Maybe I want to lock the device or clear the passcode. Those are all options available to me here. I can also do things like remote desktop in. I can push out applications as well. So let me jump in and show you how to push out applications. So under this app management, all I need to do is go over to this button and click Add New. I have my choice of if I want it to be an iOS or an Android app. So let's say, for example, I don't know, Mrs. Smith's English class, we want to push out an application to all of their particular iPads in that classroom. That's all I can think of for English right now, so let's do dictionary. And I want to push out the dictionary.com application. I'm clicking Add. Now you'll see that all I need to do here is install on devices. So I can install on all the devices. So we saw on that original page we had about 800 devices that are being managed here from Cisco Meraki. Or I could drop this down and I could do with any of the following tags. So you could add a tag to the devices as you enroll them into your network. So if, say, for example, you have, let's stick with the school example, you have 10 different classrooms and each classroom has a stack of iPads that are associated with that classroom. You could push out a tag to each of those. So you could say these are Mrs. Smith's English class iPads, this is Mrs. Forrest's science iPads, whatever it might be, right? And all I need to do is say, this is Mrs. Smith's, I'm going to push it out to those particular iPads. Now, if I was an admin, there'd be a little push button, and we would push it out, and it would automatically get pushed out to those particular iPads that I've chosen. I also have the ability to control the devices a little bit. So if I wanted to, I could go into the settings page, and I could enable or disable certain things. So if I wanted to make sure that the students weren't allowed to use the camera or not use Siri, for example, I could go in and check off and add whatever I'd like, to keep them on track while they're in class. We also have some really great features up here. So we have the ability, for example, Wi-Fi. So if I wanted to, I could make sure that when they're connected to a particular Wi-Fi network, they automatically get enrolled in Systems Manager. Or things like geofencing. So I could set parameters. So if the student decides, sticking with schools here, if the student decides to leave school and take the iPad with them, I could set up a parameter of how far they can get outside of that before there's a alert sent to the admin, and maybe the admin then sends a letter or a text message or an email to the parent saying, hey, little Johnny brought home the iPad, he needs to bring it back to school tomorrow. That's all available within this mobile device management. Now, I urge any of you that have any interest in this or any additional questions, obviously, please ask questions, but this is a completely free service. So by simply going to our web page here, let me just type it in for you so you can see what I'm chatting about. If you go to our web page, meraki.cisco.com, you hover over products and go over to mobile device management. All you need to click is get started now. It'll walk you through the setup process, and you can enroll a couple devices, play around with it, get familiar, and see if it wouldn't be good for your organization as well. Also on our website, you'll find all sorts of deployment stories. So I happen to have enterprise higher education, K through 12. If you're working in managing a K through 12 organization, there's some additional webinars and events and some more reading material if you want to get more there. That concludes the dashboard. I'd love to take any questions that we may have gotten so far.
Hey, Amanda. Yeah, we have a question. What happens to a Meraki wireless network if you lose connectivity to the internet?
Great question, yeah. So the access points, the switches, everything's going to continue to operate as normal if there's connection lost. And then when it gets reconnected, any sort of changes you have made will be communicated then. We do offer local pages for all of our products, so that there are some things you can do from a local basis to make sure that, obviously the things you need to be running are running. Normally, if you lose connectivity, there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on, so we offer you just the minimum of what you need to get done to get things back up.
I have another question for you. Will Cisco be integrating Meraki's cloud management to Cisco's products like the Catalyst switches do?
Good one. So at this point, our goal is to offer two different management solutions. So if you have current Cisco products, you won't be able to manage them in here. Most of the account representatives that are, on the Cisco Meraki side are very good about understanding if you're looking to make a switch from a traditional hardware with Cisco to the Meraki hardware with the Meraki management, about making sure we work with our with AdCap and getting the pricing reflective of that. But at this point, it will be managed separately. That's our goal, is to keep everything sort of on that.
There was another question that came in. You talked about the MX60s. How are the MX60 and MX60W different?
Sure. So let me actually just jump over to the products so we can look at those. The MX is our security appliance. If I jump into models, we can see all the different ones here. I'll also mention that we are very open, so you'll also see when you're looking on our website at any of the products, all of the list prices. Again, these are list prices, so we encourage you to work with AdCap, as I'm sure they can help you out a little bit there. But you'll see here that the MX60 and MX60W, so small branch, the 60W, the difference is that it has wireless built into it. So we see this a lot in very small environments. The only downfall of the 60Ws is that it doesn't mesh with other access points like our other APs do. So say, for example, you put up an MX60W and then in 6 months you need a little bit more wireless coverage. You could not add an MR, say, 16 and utilize the same SSIDs across those two. So if you have more questions about that, let's sit down and take a deeper dive into your actual network and figure out what the best fit for you would be now and, future-proof you for the next, 5-7 years.
Thanks, Amanda. We have one more question. Can you just buy the hardware, or is a license required, and what does the license include?
Absolutely. So that management dashboard that I just went through is incorporated into the license, right? So we don't have on-site hardware controllers. If you're familiar with a standard wireless infrastructure where you would want to be managing a bulk of those with a hardware controller, we've eliminated that and we've put it all into the cloud. So the management is included in that license. Additionally, in that license, you'll find your 24/7 support through, right here in San Francisco. You can also work with AdCap, as I'm sure they have more that they could add there. Also includes your lifetime warranty with next day replacement. So if anything ever goes wrong with the device itself, as long as you have a valid license, we're going to send you out a replacement next day. Lastly, any firmware upgrades. So we're never going to charge you for extra features that we add. As you probably saw, as I was scrolling over the menus in the dashboard, there's a whole bunch of things that we didn't cover. A decent chunk of them have been added in the last year or so. And so any of our customers prior, we automatically push those out in a firmware. You never have to pay for them. You never have to worry about it. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you purchase 5 access points, you purchase 5 licenses to go along with it. There's no head count associated with it. Say, for example, on the security appliances with the content filtering, it doesn't matter how many people you have connected as long as it's within the performance, obviously, of the device itself. Licenses are required since it's tied to the dashboard and the management of it, so there's no way to keep the devices up and running or managed without the license.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you, Patrick, for jumping on this call with us. Just want to thank everyone on the call for joining this webinar today with Cisco Meraki and AdCap Network Systems. We will be announcing the winner of the Z1 Teleworker Gateway and the MR12. After the event, you will receive an email just thanking you for attending this event as well as the recording of the webinar. And again, we will announce the winners of those prizes. So thank you again, and everyone have a wonderful rest of the day.